Hey, what's up, universe? It's 12:58 a.m. on technically Saturday, August 5th. Yeah, August 5th, 2023. Obviously, I'm not in my car, and I'm not in the room. I'm not at Alan's place. I was blessed with being provided a hotel room. I think for the next week, if I understand correctly, which I'm deeply grateful for. My brother, I call him my brother because I've known him for 40 years now. Him and his, I just like to call him his girl. I don't think they're not technically married, but they've been together for quite a while. Are helping me out with this, and I'm just really grateful for that. So thank you. And they also provided me a little bit of cash. So now my bank account isn't negative. I actually have some funds in there, and then plus the generosity from Alan, actual physical cash. So I'm deeply grateful for that as well. Alan sent me off with a little bit of food and even a napkin, along with the food. He was just very thoughtful. And the generosity I've received has been a real blessing, and I'm very grateful for that, for sure. And Alan and I had a great conversation today, probably almost an hour and a half, 2 hours. We just talked about his relationship with his father and just life and spirituality and things like this. And I found that Alan is also part of the Stephen ministry as well, which I heard my mom talk about, but I don't think I quite understood what it was. And so that was cool to hear Alan talk about that. And interestingly enough, but probably not surprising, at least it wasn't surprising to me, I suppose, that women seem to be more inclined to seek that out and be more open to receiving help or asking for help, because that's how that works as far as I understand. One has to ask for that, whereas it seems like in our society, in our culture, men are not as inclined to pursue that, which is an unfortunate thing, in all honesty. There's a lot of men that could use support, and so it's really cool that Alan, he's got somebody that he works with, and so I'm just going to honor that man for seeking out support. And it was just kind of cool to hear. And so we just shared some really great time and space this morning, before I took my shower and before I left his house. And I'm just deeply grateful for Alan and his wife, and their generosity and their companionship and friendship. And it's a real blessing. And I just kind of want to say too that my life, the way that I've chosen to live it, is definitely a journey. And I met Alan when I worked at that Caribou Coffee. Now, that Caribou Coffee wasn't going to pay my bills. It fed me, but it wasn't going to pay my bills. And I'm just grateful that it fed me. And I was without a job for a while, before I went to go work at Caribou Coffee. I was staying in a house that wasn't mine and that I wasn't able to pay rent on, because of a generosity of somebody else. And when I felt moved, called to go seek employment, I went to that Hy-Vee, and initially I was going to go see what Hy-Vee had to offer me as far as employment. Except for as soon as I walked into the door of Hy-Vee, I was like, now I'm being called to go to the Caribou Coffee. And I go and I talk to, the manager was working there, Megan, of the Caribou Coffee. And I was like, hey, you guys have any positions open? Are you hiring? And she kind of looked at me and she was like, yeah, we are. And I was like, cool, I'm interested. And this was back in 2021, right? And so I was like, cool, and she's like, well, fill out an application online and I'll make sure that the HR woman knows to, keep an eye out for your name. So I did that, filled out the application, had an interview in short order, and got hired fairly quick. And then started probably within a week or so of me applying. And that is where I met Alan. So it's just interesting where these connections come from. And this is, to me, that's all part of the fun and the joy of finding. To me, that's finding God. To me, that's finding the universe. That's finding the connections, the relationships, and just experiencing life, there's a real mystery and magic in that. And that, to me, is just, every time I experience these things, it just reinforces my belief. I'm just like, the universe shows up. I am always going to be taken care of because the universe is full of nothing but love. Regardless of how it looks, right? Like, the universe is always there to support us, in my opinion, and from my own experience. And I'm just deeply moved by that, and I'm deeply grateful for those experiences and for those connections. So it was just a really cool talk and experience with Alan, and I'm grateful for that. Aside from all of that, I continue to look for some jobs today. I didn't apply for very many today, maybe one or two. And one of them, actually it might have been the only one that I applied for. I applied for it, and then right after that I sent the job poster a message on LinkedIn, and within minutes she viewed my LinkedIn profile. There wasn't any communication, nothing was set up or anything like that. I just found it interesting, I guess, cool that she was so quick to check me out. And it was later on a Friday, so I don't anticipate to hear anything maybe until, of course, next week. Yeah. And one or two other people viewed my profile from previous things that I had applied for as well. So I've got this Google spreadsheet of the applications I've submitted, the dates that I submitted them, the companies I submitted them for, the roles, the contacts, and then notes, the dates that I sent messages to these people. And all of that stuff is linked, so I can click on it, and so I can go check out the company again. I can go back to the job posting. I can find the job poster's LinkedIn profile. It's all right there. And I did that before when I was looking for roles when I got the opportunity to work at Apple. I was doing the same thing, when I was targeting jobs then. So seems to be a helpful way for me to organize what's what. So, and then I got to see Milo today. He came up to Hy-Vee late in the evening. He's starting to feel better, so I'm glad about that. So we hung out for a while. Showed me some more funny TikToks. I I love these things that he shows me. Most of them, not all of them are funny to me, but a lot of them are. Most of them are, and it's just it's a great time to share with him. So I do miss my boys, and then I went and I saw Odin when he got home from work. So I spent some time hanging out with him. So that's good. And yeah, it was good stuff. Trying to think if there's really much else to kind of talk about. I've been chatting for just a little bit, so I think that's generally the update. The room here that I'm in has got another bed. My buddy and his girl made sure there was another bed in here in case Odin and Milo want to stay with me, so I'm grateful for that. And I will say this, now that I'm thinking this through, accepting the generosity from Alan and from my buddy and his girl has been a stretch for me. Because, I could stay at my car. I've done it before. It's my choices that have put me here, and neither Alan nor my brother would basically accept no. And they both said, look, you're a kind and generous person. Like, you've helped us out, like, didn't necessarily help Alan out, but he told me, he's like, you're a kind and generous person. He's like, it's I'm glad to be able to have helped you, and my brother was like, he's like, you've helped me out. He's like, you've been there for me, so I'm happy to be here for you. And it's that sense to me, that community and that connection, those relationships, again, to me, in a spiritual type of sense, is like, that's what life is about. And I know that I have my own things with, that I've spoken to here recently regarding my own family and community with that I'm working through. So I know what I'm saying might sound somewhat double-sided in a way, and I'm working to reconcile that. It's 1:11 a.m., by the way. And that's part of the interesting thing around my conversation with Alan today, and talking about his dad and, all of this. And the connection and the community is a really big thing for me, and I just love to experience it. And I don't know, it just plays into what my belief of, I have a really big thing around our species. It's the very first video that I made on this whole journey back in April 14th. That was what I said, working on leaning into our species not being so scary. And if anybody follows my stuff on LinkedIn, as far as like the comments that I make on the posts around AI and stuff like this, it's all about our species. And so community and this type of connection, and like working through our obstacles, our subconscious patterns, these programs that were given to us that we don't even know that we have. That's what it's all about for me, without judgment, without, labeling it good or bad, like any of that kind of jazz. Just, it's okay to let it all just be, And I think of that song, Let It Be by the Beatles. And, it's a practice. It's work, it's work. And to me, it's the only work that truly matters. You know what I mean? in the end. Like when we're gonna die and we're laying on our deathbed. This, at least for me, when I'm about to die and I'm laying on my deathbed, I believe that I'm only gonna really give a shit about that kind of work. You know, how much did I work to refine myself so that I was as conscious as I could be in all of the different relationships that I had, and to give myself grace and compassion for, there's things that I'm not aware of, or there's things that took me a long time for me to become aware of, and giving that compassion and grace to everyone else, because we're human, and to me that's work. It takes some conscious effort. Yeah. It seemed like there was something else I was going to say, but now I for sure have been talking for about 15 minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. And I'm just grateful for everything. I'm grateful for all of you for giving me the time and the space, and for being here, and for journeying with me. I really appreciate it. All right, I love you guys. I'll talk to you later. Bye.